Okay, let's make a start then. So, thanks for the few of you that has come along. We'll record this and distribute it afterwards as well. So this is just to have a chat about Humanity Ascendant. We've got an event that we're hoping to run in September, as long as nothing goes wrong with COVID arrangements, etc. So we just want to have a quick run through what the game's about, try and keep it as brief as possible, and then we'll let people ask a few questions. And hopefully we can spread this around a bit, and hopefully it helps people know a bit more about the game. So we're going to do some introductions first. So I'm Lee, or otherwise known as Longy. I'm the lead GM, sort of created the initial rule set and brought everybody on board, the rest of the team that's here. Dave, you want to go next, mate?
Yeah, so my name's Dave. I'm one of the current ref team. I started playing Humanity Ascendant at event 2, and then played 5 events as a player character, and at the last event was persuaded, along with Mem, to join the ref team.
Mehmet?
Yo, I'm Mehmet. Been playing since the first event, probably about 2-3 years ago now. I'm just joined the ref team, and I'm playing a scientist called Ivan.
Just so everybody knows, we've run 6 events so far. We should have been at about 8 or 9, but obviously COVID interrupted. So on to Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. I've been involved since day 1. When Longy put out the call wanting people interested in it, I bit his hand off. I signed up so quick. I played the game every event, but only for a mission here and there because I'm so heavily involved in the running of it. I am responsible for most of the plot to do with the surface dwellers, the free peoples, and I've also been heavily involved in making a lot of the kit, costume, and props and stuff for the event.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Jen?
Hello, I'm Jen. I am part of the rules team, so although I don't really get heavily involved when it's game time in the field, I am behind the scenes, changing, looking at rules, etc. I play a medic, one of the few. So if you're thinking about playing a medic, there's plenty of room. But yeah, I play Felicity Binks, who is the council member for medics as well. So yeah, that's me. Hi.
Cheers, Jen. Duffy, do you want to see if you can talk?
I think this is working.
It is.
Hey, I'm Duffy. Late to the game, late to the ref team. General dog's body, but well into it. I think that's about it.
Fair dues. Okay, thanks a lot. So we're just going to have a quick run through, first of all, what is HASC, what it's all about. First of all, why did we create it? So I'm a long-term sort of fantasy player, mainly Fools and Heroes. Done a couple of other stuff, but not much. So I've always been sort of on the fantasy side of things. But to me, that's always been because that was the majority of games were fantasy rather than that's what I preferred to do. I'm a sci-fi geek. So I thought there were a lack of sci-fi games. I wasn't aware of some of the sci-fi games, especially tag games that were out there at the time, which we are now, but here we are. And basically, there were, of those sci-fi games, there were even less of them had a realistic combat system. I'm not a fan of calls, not a fan of paint guns or ball bearing guns. To me, the laser tag was the only way to go. We wanted to do it our way. That was absolutely the case, and because we wanted to do that, we had to wait quite a long time for the right tech to come along. So we would talk about the tech a bit later on, but basically we ended up waiting. We trialled a system from America which didn't work very well, and we ended up waiting for a system that we found from Russia, which actually allows us to fully program the guns and all the technology exactly the way we want it. We can change it for character levels, different types of characters, all that sort of thing. We've got a lot of control over the tech, which allows us to run a proper role-play game from the tech, rather than it just being sort of a tag system on that sits on its own. So that's a bit about why I made the game. So a bit about the setting and the potted history. So obviously you'll all have picked up it is a post-apocalyptic game. It's set 500 years after the bombs have dropped. So why did the bombs drop? Well, this is the thing that the players are trying to find out. They know that all nations fired the nukes. They know that there's some kind of occurrence went on before that.
Longy, just 1 second, Paul. If you're not talking, can you mute yourself, please? We're getting a little bit of feedback, is all.
Okay. So basically, there were a couple of things happened in the run-up to the bombs dropping. This is mainly the discovery of fission fuel, which is basically like sort of hydrogen fuel. It's something that's in the water that they're able to turn into a power source, which is just as powerful as nuclear without all the side effects, which puts sort of the UK ahead of everybody else in the world in terms of the energy race. And alongside that, nanotechnology was born, which between those two sort of technologies, it caused a lot of friction in the world, and eventually led to the bombs dropping. Now, there was an order called the Order of Ascension, which tried to do something about it, that were always sort of in and out of governments, trying to help with the situation, trying to diffuse things and all that. But it obviously didn't work, and the bombs did drop. Why the bombs actually were dropped in the end, like I say, it's a bit of a mystery, but that's one of the things the players are trying to solve. So here you are 500 years in the future. You're all a part of Bunker Ascendant, unless you want to take one of the roles of one of the new surface dwellers now, which have just sort of come into fruition in the last couple of months due to all the work that the players have done with the surface dwellers. Bunker Ascendant, it's been there 500 years, the systems are starting to fail, certain supplies, recycling systems are not working as well as it should, and on top of that, radiation levels on the surface are becoming more acceptable. So it's time, basically artificial intelligence in the bunker deems it time for the players to come back onto the surface, and that's what they've been doing for the last 6 events. And the idea is basically the aim of the game, and there is an end for the game at some point, it could be many years, but there is an end. Is to retake the surface a meter at a time. So on the surface, the players have encountered various threats, such as rogue nanite infested individuals, basically like nanite zombies, but a little bit more complicated than that. They've encountered one hive, as we call it, of those, and managed to defeat that. Thought that was the end of the hive, but unfortunately 2 events ago I encountered another iteration of the hive. The first hive was called Hive Apollo, and the new hive is called Hive Vulcan, which is quite different in how they operate and that, but still very scary all the same. And then the other main sort of foe that we met on the surface is another bunker called Bunker Fortitude. Very militaristic, very aggressive. They get to know more about them, managed to force them back over a series of 2 or 3 events, but they're sort of holding away now, and I think the players are just seeking to find some way to find out more about Bunker Ascendant and why they are like they are, etc. Which they've been aided by a couple of defectors that they were able to get on board a couple of events ago. The other sort of main sort of people that they interact with on the surface is the free people, the stricken. So the people that were able to, the descendants of the people that were able to survive the bombs. These are very tribal in nature. There's several tribes, all with their distinct sort of cultures and appearances and everything like that. Things didn't go so well with them first time they encountered them, but they were able to patch that over due to some really hard work from the diplomats, etc. And now the sort of there's quite a, I would say, a reasonably solid alliance with the tribes on the surface, but there's always problems to pick through. Always something comes out of that relationship. So that's a bit about setting the pot of history. As I say, at the moment, the sort of task at the moment is to ensure that the facilities that they hold on the surface, which they've got a research facility and an information archive facility, are held secure, because there's a lot more information to get from those facilities, and to deal with the current threat, which is primarily Hive Vulcan. Okay, that's me done. So on to a bit about the game overview. On to Dave.
Cool, thank you. So yeah, so just I wanted to give you guys a bit of an insight behind the curtain and then in front of the curtain about how events are kind of constructed and then what to expect at an event. So really, the missions, actions, events of an event are driven by three main things. There's the current plot. So is, you know, what is currently happening right now in the vicinity of the bunker. That's obviously represents fairly immediate threats. There's the meta plot, which is pretty deep. We're only kind of just starting to scratch the surface of it, really. Information slowly working its way into the player base, and no one other than Mr. Long himself knows exactly what that is. We get tiny glimpses behind the second curtain, very, very rarely. But there is a much longer arc, as you kind of described to. There's a much longer arc of things that are going on. But realistically, the main driver of all of the things that happen at an event are the players. So players often at an event, they'll gain insight into new locations that they might want to investigate, new threats we've described, new allies potentially. You know, there's always things that players might want to do. So we like to give players that drive. You know, if the soldiers decide, you know, oh, on the last mission, there was this place that looked like a bunker on the map we don't know what it is. Can we have a scouting mission to go and investigate it? Or, you know, we're running low on spanners or sprockets. Let's go and, you know, there's some scrap. We know in one of the regions of the map, there's a huge scrap pile for whatever reason. Engineers want to go there and take a look at that. Or, you know, there's a number, or we want to launch an assault against bunker fortitude, or, you know, we want to go try and capture a hive person to do some experiments on them because we're crazy scientists. So that's where the events leading up to an event, the kind of actions leading up to an event will determine what we are going to specifically run at the event. So don't be afraid to get involved. Don't be afraid to say, I've got this crazy idea. Can we go do this? Probably, sure. Maybe not necessarily, depends on how long you would give us notice of, but yeah, probably. So at an actual event itself, it follows a very similar format to those which most of you will be familiar with who've LARPed before. But if you haven't, essentially you turn up on site as early, sometime mid-Friday afternoon. I'm sure if our resident... we missed out a member of the team because he's not here.
Steve.
The most crucial member of the team. The guy that cooks the food.
And does all the admin and keeps us all sane. Are you on, Steve? Is that SW? Is that you?
I wasn't sure if he was here or if he was hiding. Might be just listening.
Anyway, okay.
So Steve Wainwright is he's the guy who cooks all the food and does all of the kind of admin. So he's the guy that runs all the event forms, the Google Docs, the character database, that kind of stuff. So he would be able to tell me exactly what time people are allowed on site. I can't remember. But sometime on Friday afternoon, you can come on site, which, you know, the earlier you get there gives you an opportunity to chat to the other player characters, maybe have a play with the guns, try out something new. You know, if you play a character that uses pistols, maybe you want to have a muck about with an assault rifle for a couple of hours. You know, all that kind of stuff can happen prior to the event. Then at time in, you'll start the game. And normally there will be 1 or 2 missions on a Friday night. So again, it depends on what you're comfortable with doing. Don't ever feel that you have to go on a mission in the dark, because it can be quite disconcerting and also slightly terrifying when you're being shot at in the dark. So I see a few nodding heads of people who've been at previous events. And then the same kind of format on the Saturday. So the Friday night will normally identify any new problems potentially. And then the players will themselves, they'll be like given, they'll calculate a bunch of tasks that they need to do the next day, or they'll be assigned a bunch of tasks. And then it's up to the players themselves to determine who goes on what mission. So if you're used to a more structured fest type experience where it's like, right, Dave, Becky, Jen, Deb, Duff, you're all going to do this because this is what your characters do. Or, you know, Ron, you can't go on this one because it will totally screw it all up because you'll just go on there and use your magic item of doodad and ruin it for everybody at the end. None of that happens at Humanity Ascendant. There is no restriction. Now, we will provide like suggested, you know, this mission is a hard mission. And it's made easier by having an engineer. So if the players are unsure, we can provide a limited amount of guidance, but no mission
basically intel from the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, yeah, so there's no, so the players decide all of those things, and then that happens throughout the day on the Saturday. Whilst that is happening, there will also be people showing up at whichever outpost we happen to be at, people to attack us, people to talk to us. You might have found a thing that you want to investigate or try and repair, or put into the science box and try and use massive rubber gloves, which make things incredibly uncomfortable. Isn't that right, Mem? To tinker with. So there's always stuff to be going on with. So normally people get the opportunity to go on at least 2 regular missions. So that means you would be expected to fulfill the monster or NPC roles for at least 2 missions, whether that's a Friday night mission or during the day on the Saturday. And some of those will involve you going out to be the bad guys whilst the players are on mission, or be the guys that are showing up. No problem. Thanks, Nick. Or, you'll be the ones hanging around interacting with the people that are still at the outpost. And that carries on all the way through Saturday. Hopefully good things or bad things will happen depending on what's supposed to happen. And then Sunday, the format is 2 larger scale missions. So most Humanity Ascendant missions are aimed at between 5 and 8 players. So again, much smaller than some people are used to, especially at what you would call the traditional fest experience. But the Sunday missions is, generally speaking, 50% of the players will play one and 50% of the players will play another one. And these will have solid game impacting objectives. So these will either be predetermined because the players know what they want to do, or they'll have come about as a result of things they've discovered on the Saturday. And that is essentially what the weekend looks like from an experience point of view. Obviously, interspaced in that is the important stuff of eating and sleeping. So it's not, although things happen in game, things can happen quite late into the night. Most scripted stuff that's generated by a ref or a GM tends to stop at around about 11 o'clock, 10 to 11 o'clock normally. Players will still continue up and not often screwing around with dangerous stuff. So things can still happen to you. Until you go to sleep in your bunk room, bad things can happen to your character, normally as a result of other players. But yeah, so there's obviously, it's not quite 24-hour timing, but the area around the outpost, generally speaking, is in a semi-permanent timing state. Things can happen there at any time. I think that's pretty much it from an event point of view. We are going to, so if you want to ask a question, drop a message into the chat, and then I'm kind of running the who's talking. So if you have questions, and you can either type the question, or you can say, I have a question, and then we'll come to you. So that is it from me. Unless anyone has any questions about event. Oop, there we go. Someone was activating their mic for the first time. Zoom always goes a bit bonkers when that happens. So yeah, has anyone got any questions on event structure? I will take that as a no. And welcome Steve to the party. All right, cool. So I will now pass you over to Jen, who will give you a brief rundown of each of the classes and generally what they do.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into like a whole load of detail regarding the classes because there's just so much from each class. So I'll just give you a basic rundown of what each class entails, and then the specialization trees and what you can expect from them when you eventually pick yours, which I think is like about after a couple of events, maybe 3. I don't really know anymore. But yeah, so first off, the FEF, they have 5 different classes. The first one, so the soldiers, medics, scientists, engineers, and bureaucrats. So soldiers do what they say on the tin. They are the damage boys or girls, and they get to play with guns and various other mad, crazy things that come along. So you've got your assault class. They are frontline, doubled as bunker security in the sidelines. They have things like shields. They're allowed to use shields with SMGs, but they are you're running in frontline, getting into the. I mean, everyone does that anyway. I'm telling lies, but but they are meant to be your frontline big boys. You've got your recon specialists, who are your snipers. They are good for planning, so a lot of the combat tactics and things will often come from your recon soldiers. And then you've got your heavies, who roll around with grenade launchers and underslung grenade launchers and LMGs. They are pretty good. I find that people tend to sway towards heavies and recons, but it would be cool to get some assault guys coming in, just to get trying out those skills as well. Next to your medics, so you've got field medics, doctors, and augment specialists. Field medics are purely field-based medics, as it says on the tin. They are better in the field for healing. They have skills developed towards being better in the heat of battle. You've got doctors, who are, although all medics are good at healing, doctors are more geared towards in bunker or in hut or wherever we are at the time. They are better for those kind of things, sort of researchy kind of specialists when it comes to medicine. And then you've got augment specialists, which is what I play, which are geared towards creating super soldiers. I would say, for not of a better word, they have augments. They can make people harder, better, faster, stronger. I'm going to go with that. Then you've got scientists, your basic biologists, chemists, and physicists. We've done quite a lot of work, I would say, with scientists and trying to get them some skills that aren't just in bunker and in downtime. So we've tried to give them some in-field stuff. So your biologists now have things like biological warfare, where they can use different infections. You've got chemists who can use your toxins, and physicists who can make power weapons and stun weapons. So although they don't have much to do with the combat side of things, they have that support element. Scientists are also really cool for like research and things in the field. So when you've got something you're not sure what it is, like there's a weird brain and we need to investigate it, that's where your scientists come in to do all their prodding and poking. Then you've got engineers. You've got riggers, field engineers, and combat engineers. Your riggers are based on armor, field engineers are based on gadgets, and combat engineers are based on weapons. They are good for making things. I know Dave plays one, and there's him and Mehmet, who plays a scientist. They created like a cool rail rifle that's crazy. It lights up, it does big beams of shooty lights and things. It's cool. So they can build things like that. You can build power armor, which hasn't yet been built, but that's definitely something that needs looking into from my perspective. Engineers, like I say, they're good for building things and creating things and messing around with wires and other broken things in the field. And then you've got bureaucrats, who are your talkers. You've got your merchants, politicians, and info traders. Merchants are good for trading and gaining. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I just lost my screen. You've got merchants who are good for trading and getting all your resources handy. You've got politicians who are good with words. You have skills there that are engineered to help you maybe interrogate or get what you want out of people. And then you've got info traders, who are similar to politicians but more based towards technology and hacking information finding out information from their sources elsewhere within the bunker or on the surface. So that's a basic rundown of them all. By no means is that like essentially all they do. You find that even though I've said like your engineers build stuff, your scientists are good for like prodding around and poking, and your medics are good for healing. You all sort of integrate into helping each other within the game and finding other things to do that you didn't think was going to happen. I was digging around in a skull last event to find I don't even know what we found. Brain. It was weird, but yeah. So I also forgot my medical kit at that point, so I was then using Dave's engineer pliers to try and pull apart a skull. So you all help each other. It's fun. And then you've got the Stricken. So the Stricken are a new added class. We haven't seen any of those as player characters yet. So you've got your warriors, your speakers, and your shapers. It'll be interesting to see how they pan out in the field from a rules perspective. You've got your warriors who, like as it says in the tin, they are all about the combat. They have skills engineered towards melee combat, but they have got the guns there as well to help. But they obviously aren't as up to tech spec as the FEF currently are. And then you've got your speakers, who are similar to your bureaucrats, just from a wasteland perspective, and shapers, who are kind of a mix of all three of your engineers, scientists, and medics, just from a wasteland point. Again, Stricken are less technical. That's not to say that they can't grow and become more technical with the FEF's help, but they are very much aimed to. They've been living on the wasteland for many years, and they've learned different methods and skills to cope in that land. I think that's it, really. There are psionics that are in the book. They are a restricted class, so it's GM. It'll be required to talk to the GMs if you did want to play one. And at the minute, they are very limited due to the storyline, and the much is unknown about them. I don't even know, because I'm not, other than writing rules for it, I don't know what they are or what it entails from a player character perspective. So yeah, I think that's it really for classes. There's probably lots of questions, but yeah, that's mainly it. So yeah. Oh, can't hear you, Longy. You're dead quiet. Yeah, pass back to Dave for between events and the website.
Cool. So thanks, Jen. So Jen kind of alluded to the fact that there's stuff that goes on not in the field. I know, crazy. This game has the opportunity for people to do stuff. Obviously, we are a limited event per year, so we run three mainline events is the plan to run per year. So as you can imagine, there's going to be people find stuff, people have crazy ideas. For example, they want to design a man-portable railgun. So these are the things that happen in downtime. There's a bunch of stuff that you will find on the website, which I can show you. So this is the glorious Humanity Ascendant website. And on here, you will find a whole bunch of things in the FEF database. So as a new player, or even as a not new player, it's important to keep up to what's going on here, because this is where player characters submit their own information. So for example, you can click on all reports and you will see, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's always on point with his with his field reports.
Lies.
But then, yeah, so players submit reports, and it's really interesting. I would heartily recommend, if you haven't done, go back and go, right, which ones were from Event 5? This was from an engineer, this one was from a scientist, and this one was from a soldier. Drastically different recollections of the same events from a different point of view. So it's really, really good. You'll also see things like there's a bunch of videos on here. There's just a bunch of various different bits of information. Look at this guy. He looks like a real hero. Definitely watch that video. Definitely listen to the Yul Brynner show. So a couple of guys have done pirate bunker radio stations that get played in the various outposts throughout an event, and they are absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So that's where you can do stuff in downtime. So everyone who writes a report gets bonus in character cash. It's not a huge amount, but it's, it might pay for a new gun or some armor or some ammo or something like that between events. So definitely worth doing, and people get a lot out of reading them. I think. So I would definitely recommend that. Also on here, if you are not sure about things like the who else is in the FEF, or who else is a scientist, or who's an engineer that you might want to talk to, in the Bunker FEF personnel database, you can find entries for everyone's characters. Look, there we go. So yeah, look, loads of people. So yeah, so you can click on there. Most people tend to put pictures in there eventually. I've been a bit lax and mine doesn't have a picture, so sorry. But they'll often, so if you're not sure, and you can group it by, you can filter by classes, that kind of stuff, so you can see who's who, like this guy. Look, there he is. So you'll get this, and you get that on there. And the other cool thing is that if you find someone's ID card or badge that you'll see in the game, you can do something cool with that, which I'll get onto later, which takes you into this information as well. So that's the website. So we have a form to fill in for people to use to submit research documentation. So I'm going to show you what a blank form looks like, and then a completed one that was completed by Mehmet between events 5 and 6 and 7, wasn't it? It was after the last event. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a completed one that I can show you examples of what it is. And as Jen kind of alluded to, the crucial thing for me, the biggest thing for me about Humanity Ascendant is no one character can stand alone. It is really difficult to advance the game on your own. You cannot become a super awesome character who runs around doing everything. It doesn't exist. You can't do it. People might think certain characters can do that, but trust me, getting taken down 28 times in a 20-minute firefight just because you happen to have a big gun and no hit points isn't very much fun. So the game is designed to prevent that. So it encourages player interaction and cooperation, just like you would expect from a real-world society that's trying to re-establish itself. So the blank form. Actually, I won't show you a blank form. I'm just going to show you an actual form, I think. So this one. So this is the form. So at the top, you can see the names of the characters who were involved in this project. This was a pretty big project that Mehmet was intending to do regarding kind of enhanced armor techniques and maybe nanite reinforcement of bones, all kinds of mad stuff. So then you get the out of character names here. Date was completed, the project name, and this is where you would just basically put in what you want to do. So you would put the general description of what you want to do in here. And like literally this one shouldn't be more than 3 or 4 sentences, just a very headline view of the project. Then project goals. This is where you say what your intended result is. This is what you're going to do, and this is what you intend it to be the end result. We're not expecting. I'm not an engineer. Mehmet isn't a physicist. You know, he's also not a psionicist either. You know, Jen's not a real doctor. Like all of this stuff, we're not expecting people to be experts. So as long as your intention is clear, we can fill in the rest of the gaps. Most of the stuff we do at Humanity Ascendant is loosely based in science, but it's mostly nonsense that we make up. So you fill this all in. Then you have special information here. So this is where you would put anything that you found on missions, what you want to kind of contribute. You would reference QR codes like here, which I'll get onto later. And then this is where you get this sent back to you. So you fill all the form in, then the refs send it back to you, and they'll say, right, in order to complete this project, you need to have 10 ranks of physics, 10 ranks of medicine, 10 ranks of augmentation, 5 ranks of medicine, and 5 ranks of gadget tech. And this is where the different characters can contribute their skills in downtime. Everyone has an amount of downtime actions, which is 2. And each action you can apply some of your character's training to. So for example, I'm a weaponsmith and I'm a rank 5 engineer. So in each of my actions, I can contribute up to 10 points of weaponsmithing. or 5 points of armor smith and 5 points of gadgeteering, because I'm not very good with those in comparison to my specialization. So then you go, and then down here you'll get told, so salvage is an in-game resource that you find on missions. Some characters can automatically generate it through skills, and this is the primary resource that allows us to make new things or do new stuff. There's 3 types, and then so the ref team or rules team will send you back, and they'll say, right, this total number of skills, this total amount of research, this total amount of salvage, go away and tell us where you're going to get that from. So then so the yellow bit, then you can see that Mehmet's completed this. He's gone, right, I've got some from this guy, some from this guy. These are the other people I've got involved. This is how much they're contributing to each of those things. Cool. Easy. Send it back, and then you will then get the reply back. You might get the reply between events if it's relevant, or as has happened at some events, you might just, when you show up to your first mission, someone might just show up and, hand you a document or a file or a piece of equipment or a report, or, it just depends on the most relevant way for you to receive your response to your research proposal. That isn't to say that this is the only way to run the game. There are a bunch of players that have a load of fun that don't interact with this system. So this is, if you want to just be a soldier and show up and just show up, get told who to point a gun at and shoot it at people, it will be a load of fun, and you can just go and do that. If that's what you want from the game, you can. You won't have any less fun than someone who's spending time in the downtime period. It's not by far, it's not compulsory in any way. So I'll stop sharing that. I think that's pretty much it. Last hand back to Lungy.
You're really quiet, Lungy.
I can hardly hear you.
Dave, could you if I'm really quiet, could you take over and just have a talk about the tag weapons, please?
It would be my pleasure. So the weapons we use, so you'll have seen there's a few guys in here who are from the UK Laser Tag Association who have been playing laser tag games and laser tag LARP for an amount of time. I'm not going to specify. I'll let those guys tell you how long they've been doing it for. But they essentially, at some time in the past, decided they wanted to play laser tag military sim. They wanted to shoot, they wanted to be in the Earth Defense Force shooting crap out of Membari, or, be able to have technology they could turn to a bunch of different settings. So they basically built their own laser tag system. Neither me or Lungy or anyone involved in Humanity Ascendant is anywhere near as technically savvy as those guys. So our system is a pre-built system. As Lungy indicated, it comes from Russia. It is top-grade military simulation equipment, essentially. The guns look like guns. They handle like guns. And when you fire them, if we program them right, they sound like guns. And there's a couple of different versions. And essentially the gun, we've all, those of you who are LARP veterans will have played fantasy LARPs where if you're in a massive costume and someone hits you or throws a throwing weapon at you, you don't feel it. Or you hit someone 17 times in the back and they're like, I'm pretty sure you hit me once there, mate. Like, prove that you hit me 17 times. There's two aspects to it. There's the incidental not playing by the rules and the deliberate not playing by the rules. You cannot do that at Humanity Ascendant. The gun and the headband take all of that part away from it. So it tracks your hit points, it tracks your ammunition, and it tracks your weapon. And we can program the weapons to do a whole bunch of different stuff. So an untrained scrubber like me with an assault rifle, I'm like, cool, 2 damage a shot. Pew, pew, pew. Sounds the same, looks the same, does terrible damage. Takes me 5 shots to kill an average human. A trained soldier with that same gun, or a trained person, other people have access to the skill, but it is in the soldier tree, can do 4 damage per shot with an assault rifle. So already they're doing twice as much damage as me. Soldiers can then learn advanced skills which further increase the damage, and cool engineers like me and Steve Wainwright we can do temporary and permanent upgrades to make guns do more damage. So we can, within a set bunch of parameters, we can alter rate of fire, ammunition count, damage, reload time, time between shot, all this kind of stuff. We can do all that in the background for pretty much anything. So I don't think there's a single person in the game who has the same stats as someone else anymore. I think Longy can probably testify to that. People have got, because armor gives you increased hit points, different types of armor, different increases in hit points. There's skills to increase your hit points, the same as there is for increasing the damage and rate of fire of your guns. So it tracks it all for you, and it's really cool. So the guns, like I said, they make noise when you shoot them. We also have programmed in a bunch of kind of rogue trooper style or lawgiver style audio effects. So for some people, like if you get reloaded, it'll say you've been reloaded. If you're out of ammo, it'll say you're out of ammo, and this kind of stuff. So it's it's very interactive. What happens when you get shot is your headband will buzz to identify that you've been hit. You will not be able to shoot back, and you will not be able to be hit again for an amount of time. These are called shock and invulnerability timers. So shock prevents you from shooting back straight away, and invulnerability means that you can't just be instantaneously hosed by a madman with an LMG. It represents the fact that in a firefight, if you take a hit or a near miss, that you would want time. You always see it in the movies. Time to duck behind a wall, get behind a tree, run the hell away. There's a bunch of things that the game allows you to do. So, but when you get taken down to zero, your gun will make a noise because you are bleeding out, and you will no longer be able to fire. So all of that stuff about having to worry about did I take 3 hits? How many hits have I got left? Do I need healing? How much ammo have I got? All of that is removed by the laser tag equipment. So it just allows you to fully focus on the immersive nature of the game, and you don't have to buy it, which is the other cool thing because they are not cheap. So Longy's been invested in the full range of weapons for the game. So we have pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, what we call a DMR or direct marksman rifle, and then a sniper rifle. And the DMR kind of sits between sniper rifle and assault rifle. It's the kind of battle rifle that you would see professional soldiers use. And then you have modified versions of those weapons. You have LMGs, railguns, and a bunch of other stuff that's on its way. But essentially, you pick the one that your character will have access to, whatever they've got access to, and that's what you'll be able to hire from Lee to be able to use at the event. And they are incredibly robust. One of my fears was like what if I drop it? What if I bounce into a tree or roll over or lying on the ground? Am I gonna these are expensive pieces of kit. Like I don't want to be the guy who tells Lee that I've broken something. But to this day, we've never had a single piece of damaged firepower, have we, Longy?
No.
And they've been manhandled in some situations. But yeah, there's been no. I think the only thing you've had to actually do, pal, is replace a couple of batteries, right? I think in some of them for defective batteries. So yeah, the tech is awesome, and it takes away all of the bean counting part of LARP goes away.
Okay, Jen, do you want to follow that up?
So that's about firefight combat. I will now pass you over to Jen, who will talk to you a bit more about what else can happen to your character, because it's not all about being shot.
Yeah, so as Dave's already mentioned, firearms, your headband deals with everything. When your headband does tell you you're dead, someone like me will run across with an NDU box, which is like a big, well, I say big, it's a fairly big box. Run over, hold a button down, and your headband will spring back to life, and you can get back up and carry on shooting as normal. The cool thing about those is that multiple people can be healed at the same time, so you'll often see people like smashing their heads together as close as possible to try and get healed because they're on the floor bleeding. But yeah, so anyway, as for melee, there hasn't been lots of melee that I've been involved in personally. It's not like a massive thing because obviously it is a firearms game, but it does happen. So every character starts with 1 global hit, and that can be improved through various things, whether you wear armor. So light armor gives you an additional hit and some more hits towards being shot, which is obviously all programmed into your headband. And then heavy gives you an additional 2 global hits, I think, and gives you more hits towards your firearms. There is other things like soldier skills, various other things like my augments that can give you additional things to help you in battle. But yeah, it's fairly simple. If you get hit 4 times, you fall over. there are different states within the game when it comes to combat. So there's healthy, where everything is above 0 and you're fine, you can run around as normal. There's wounded, so that's where either your health or your hit points reach 0, so your global hits or your headband tells you to fall over. At that point, you become, obviously you are wounded, so a 30-second count starts. That's up to you to count. At that point, you are conscious. You can walk. You can't walk or stand, but you can crawl. So it's up to you, as I will tell you lots of times as Canary, my character, to get crawling towards me because I'm pinned behind a tree. Yeah, a lot of times I do get very shouty as a medic, but I'm not a horrible person. I just like crawl towards me, stop just laying there and shouting for help. But yeah, if you've got that 30-second window to crawl and get yourself out of the line of fire, and you can shout for help or use a radio. Once you've passed that 30-second point, you fall unconscious, and then you start a 5-minute count towards your death count. So 300 seconds. Once you hit 300 seconds, you do die. There are one way, as far as we know, to get people back up if they die, but it does require medics of various trees. So it requires a doctor and a field medic to be able to do that. So it's a fairly simple system when it comes to combat. Like Dave said, the firearms, the headband deals with everything, and your melee, you've not got that many hits anyway to deal with someone running at you with a baseball bat or whatever else they're running towards you with. So yeah, it's fairly simple. There are other things that do happen in combat, such as gases and other things. I won't go into loads of detail with those. There are various different smokes. So you've got green for toxin, yellow for infection, and red for radiation. You just don't want to go near them. Simple as. But yeah, we haven't seen many of those yet. So like I say, it's fairly simple to get around in terms of combat. And if you do have any questions when you're there, they're easy to answer. So I don't think there's much else to say on that. I think we're passing back to Dave at this point. I haven't got my overview up. Dave and radios.
Back to me again. So for me, the second part of Crucial Kit. So we have all of the gun tech, which is obviously cool. The second part of the kit that makes the game run really smooth is the radios. So the FEF is given a number of radios at the start of an event, and anyone can use them and anyone can carry them. Recon soldiers can personally acquire a separate radio, but in essence, the radios are used by the refs and the players. So the refs will have their own channel for ref stuff. The players will have their own channel for player stuff. And it means you're constantly in communication. So we've had missions in the past where the players have gone out and found something and they've radioed back to the players in the bunker for assistance. And then one of those player characters is an info trader. So they have direct links back into the bunker so they can go, oh, we don't know, like we found a device that's got this code on it, and I'll send it off to my contacts in the bunker. They sent that information back. That was then relayed out into the field, which is really cool and kind of again sums up the coordination and the working together as a group to achieve goals that would be otherwise unachievable. The other thing it allows us to do, I mean, how many, those of you that are familiar with certainly fantasy LARPs, how many of you have had time out, time faff, we're trying to set up an encounter, go back? So we have our version of that, but it doesn't break immersion. So we have what we call the halt command, and we will issue that, as referees, we will issue that to player character mission groups who have perhaps progressed faster, or in the case of Ian Wyatt, who I know is on this call somewhere, who will often be sneaking around where he's not supposed to be, in the bushes being shady. And so we'll often issue the halt command to prevent players accidentally coming across stuff they're not supposed to. But it will always follow with an in-character reason. So we'll be like, okay, fire team 1, halt, potential radiation storm incoming, allow us to get drone coverage to confirm or deny, and then we'll just provide in-character reasons that will allow you to continue the immersion side of the game without having to be like, oh well, let's just stop here for no reason while we're in this intense fire zone on the edge of a radiation place. We know there's bad guys over the hill. Why the hell are we just like arsing about in the forest? Nah, it'll be take cover, potential enemy forces, radiation cloud. We have a spike in power usage ahead of you. We don't know what it is. Please hold. The bunker utilized drone technology extensively. They have various different types of drones, and we use that mechanic to provide information to player characters. So Jen alluded to the fact that recon characters often are involved in the planning of missions, and they have access to different types of drone. So they can send them in, and the engineers at the last event, you'll see there's a picture of some real bad handwriting on a whiteboard where we're talking about radiation proofing a drone. So that was because the drones couldn't go into hard radiation zones for very long. They would just get wiped out, as their technology would do. So we waffled on and we created a drone that was able to fly into a radiation zone to get recon. So you'll often find that recon characters can be like request recon forward 500 meters, and then the players will get back information. It's like, yeah, we're picking up eight heat signatures in varying positions, no movement, or there's signs of something metallic ahead, we don't know what it is. So again, players can use their skills in very different ways, and the radios provide a really solid mechanic for that, which is great. It does make a huge difference to the immersion part of the game. And speaking of immersion, sticking with me. So this is the bit that really blew my mind at my first Humanity Ascendant event, because for the main reason being, I sell barcode technology as a job. That is my job. So to be able to incorporate what I do as a job into my hobby was phenomenal. So the QR code system allows for refless interaction with pretty much 90% of anything you will find in the world of Humanity Ascendant. Again, we've all been in LARP systems where you find a doodad and it's like, cool, what does the doodad do? Right, can someone get Steve? Steve, it's your encounter. Steve's on his way back. He's gone to pick something up. Oh shit! Right, so I'm waiting for half an hour while some guy's running back like out of breath to tell me that it doesn't do anything. It's broke. We've all experienced that, and for me, that's quite a negative player experience. So the QR code system prevents, like I said, 90% of that. I think I've had 2 or 3 times when I've wanted to do something pretty outrageous, to be honest, that the QR code system doesn't really cover for. But other than that, the refs put a lot of time and effort into preparing ahead of time information by QR code. So the way it works, actually, I'm assuming everyone's familiar with what a QR code looks like. So I will share my screen. So it is a QR code is the fancy square barcode that you will see on membership cards, on vouchers that you get, ticket stubs for events, that kind of stuff. So it's the square barcode symbol. As you can see on here, these are pre-prepared props. What happens is everyone is allowed to use, other than the stricken, is allowed to utilize their phone as a pad, PADD, and that allows you can use an app, or to be honest, most modern smartphones now have inbuilt QR code reading facility in their camera software. So you literally point your phone at the QR code, it will take you to a website. The QR codes are grouped in military, science, and CAT currently. There's Jen showing one. And what happens is it takes you to a page on the website, and if you input your password for your class, and it will then, if it's correct, it will then give you information on that thing that's just happened. It will say, oh, this is a bomb. If it appears to be made out of TNT. If you tamper with it, it's probably going to explode. And then you will sometimes have additional options. So it'll be, right, you can dismantle it, you can scrap it, you can do this to it. Or it'll be, the thing is a trap. Take radiation level 1 as you are irradiated from mucking about with stuff that's bad for you, or you are poisoned, or it explodes, or a whole bunch of spines fall on you from a tree. Thanks, Mehmet. But it tells you what you do, and you self-ref that encounter. And You'll find these on anything that's interactable in the game world has a QR code on it. And I can't explain how awesome that makes the game. You combine the fact that you don't have to worry about how many hits you've taken, or if you hit that guy or whatever, that's all taken care of. Radio communication constantly with other players as well as the ref team, amazing. And then combine that with the QR code system means that you shouldn't ever be in a situation where you are waiting around for a ref to come and tell you what has happened with something. So here's a few examples. I've got some live examples of QR codes in the field. So if I stop sharing that and I share this one. So here you can see this is on a mission. You'll see there's a video Longy's posted on the Facebook group earlier on. This was us attempting to break into a facility. So we showed up in the dark. This is the security access panel. So it had one QR code on the outside, then another one on the inside. So the one on the outside told us what it was. When we opened it on the inside, it told us what we needed to do. And in there was a bunch of wires, some batteries, and some various different LEDs. So we were tasked with, right, do stuff to this until the red one goes out and the green one comes on. Once you've done that, you've unlocked the door, you can go in. So it's that type of constant engagement without constant engagement. That's one example. I think I've got another one. Oh, no, that's the same one. So this was one of talking about the guys who make amazing props. Chris and Duff make amazing props. They are the kings of prop. Large scale props, they're amazing. So as you can see here, QR code there for an engineer to scan. So it'll say ENG, MIL, or SCI. Sometimes it might be a specific type of science. So it might say PHY or BIO or CHM, I think, for chemistry. So you then scan. I scanned this barcode and it was like, this massive power supply appears to be malfunctioning. There are some damaged parts. You need to remove 4 damaged parts, but be aware that it is live. And essentially what the guys had incorporated was a game of operation. And I had to very carefully take those out. And every time I hit the side, that was a life-threatening electrical shock to my character. But again, I didn't need them to tell me that. It was all in the QR code. I knew straight away what I had to do and what would happen if I didn't do it. So it was, again, it's a really good example of, the QR code in place with the thing you have to do. I didn't need Chris to tell me. Like, he was, in fact, dressed in a tuxedo waiting to come on to do his bit. But yeah, so that's an example of the QR code system in the field. I think we've covered all the rules stuff we wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, so Mehmet's made a couple of points. So just on the QR code, so there was a murder mystery mission, which I was very sad I didn't get to go on. That's where I spent a bunch of time getting shot to crap outside the outpost. Where Chris and Duff had essentially done a murder mystery, and they basically created a village where a murder had happened with a ton of QR codes on for various different characters to be able to act with, and each one was a clue. So the military guys were able to scan them to find out tracks or signs of a scuffle or how many people went in a certain direction. And then the engineers were like, oh, this piece of wood was broken by a forceful impact, or this particular thing, has chips in it as if it's hit something hard. And the scientists had, oh, there's blood. This is enough blood for a whole person, or this is the sign. There's blood here, signs of a struggle, kind of thing. So I'm gutted I didn't get to go on that mission, but the feedback from the players was that it was probably one of the best LARP missions they've ever been on. So it does really make like I said, it just takes away from me that negative play experiences of hanging around waiting for stuff to happen, because you don't get time to hang around. So now we can go into the question section. So does anyone have a question? Or any questions, in fact? We've got people who play all the characters online now that Ian's here. I think. No, we don't have a cat. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about the character classes, the game, what we'd expect? So we haven't really covered what to bring or what to wear. I don't know if anyone's got. I mean, you've all seen the kit stuff.
A good pair of boots.
Yeah, solid pair of boots, changes of pants, because you are inevitably going to crap yourself. No questions?
Yeah, just in terms of kit and stuff like that. If you don't have a lot, it's not going to break everything, immersion or anything like that too much, is it?
No, the best thing about it is whatever you've got's appropriate, because it's post-apocalypse.
Well,
So that, for me, that was another one of the big things. Like, if you want to go do a fantasy LARP and you want to play a combat character, you want to wear metal armor and have a suit of chainmail, a couple of weapons, a shield. That's depending on what quality of stuff you buy, or if you're able to pick up anything second hand, that's the best part of £600 or £700 probably to play that type of character at a fantasy LARP. My first event, I spent less than £50 on my kit, and that was pretty much everything I needed. That was a bunch of tools, a tool belt. I'm playing engineer, so a bunch of tools, cheap ones off Amazon, and some that I already had. Tool belts. I also play a former criminal, so I'm one of the lunatics running around in a bright orange jumpsuit. And we had I think the most expensive bit of kit I bought, was probably that patch for the back, which was like £14. Everything else was cheaper than that. So, there's a bunch of people who can help you with advice on weathering kit, all that kind of stuff. Ian's really good. He did a session probably just after the last event, actually, just showing how easy it is to weather kit up and make it look a bit scruffy. Military surplus is dead cheap. Again, it doesn't have to be actual military surplus either. I think the combats I wear aren't proper military ones, and it doesn't. Yeah, from a kit point of view, don't worry about it. Would be my advice.
There's some good questions being asked here.
Okay.
I think that the purple Kimmy's asking about there. I mean, you wear bright orange. My kit's going to be bright orange, so I don't think colour really matters all that much.
No, you can. Go on, then. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, because I mean, the classes themselves, if you look through the player's guide, there are recommended a colour to incorporate in your kit somewhere, whether that's like an armband or or whether you just want to wear a boiler suit like Dave does, because he's got his bright orange jumpsuit on. But like I wear bright orange camo trousers because I was a criminal at one point or another, so that's like incorporated in. But then I have my medic patch armband just to show what class I am. But yeah, colours are absolutely fine. It just makes you as a character.
I just want to say, she did say she wasn't a nasty person and just said she was a former criminal, so just bear that in mind.
That's Canary, not me.
And the question by James is quite relevant as well, actually.
That is an excellent question, James. Thank you for that. We were hoping someone might ask that one. So I can speak from experience. So I wasn't involved in the creation of the game, and I didn't attend the first event. So I went to the second event as a brand new player. And although you might need assistance from other player characters with more advanced skills, you are not going to go to your first event and build a railgun, because you won't necessarily be able to do that on your own. But if you've got an idea, you can go and do whatever you want. Every character can contribute at any time. There isn't a massive skill gap in game terms between a starting character and a rank 5 character. Yes, a soldier will do more damage, might be able to take more hits and use different guns. But trust me, there's no substitute for bodies. If you've got one guy who's got a massive gun, hosing everyone down, doesn't make any difference. If there's 5 guys out there, they're going to win that fight. They could be 5 rank 1 guys against 1 rank 5 guy, and they will win. If you're on mute, James, I don't know if you were deliberately on mute or if you wanted to talk there. But yeah, so for me, it's about getting involved. When at my second event, a new group of players did show up, and they were slightly frustrated with the fact that there was a perception. They had a perception that certain characters had access to a lot more stuff than they did, and I will say it's just a perception. In game, a bunch of characters will talk themselves up like it's no tomorrow. But we then, from that point onwards, we try to make it more of a point. So those of us, like myself, Mehmet, and Jen, we're all council members. So we make a point of when a new character shows up, making sure they, you know, if they've got particular goals as their character or they want to get involved in a certain type of technology or project, we will do our best to make sure that they are paired with someone or introduced to the group that's working on that particular project. The soldiers are probably the best group for that. Not that any group's particularly bad, but the soldiers do a phenomenal job of bringing new soldiers into their fold. It really is. I mean, Ian, well, you didn't play till like event 4 or 5, right? Event 4, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, you crewed the first 2 before that, didn't you? I think, and then played at event 4. And so Ian's character straight away was making an impact just because he was putting himself out there, going and doing stuff, hammering rocks for crazy engineers and scientists. Hence why he has now got the call sign Hammer. So yeah, I would say that get involved and you will not find yourself at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I think you do obviously start with, oh, sorry, Deb.
I was going to say, I think as well, for the position we're in now, I've never played. It will be my first event, this one in September, and I know I won't be the only one, and I think that's great because there'll be a load of other new characters as well, so we can like form new character clusters and do things together and help each other out from that respect as well. We can all be clueless together. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
We can all be FNGs together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our own little cult. Yeah.
I was just going to say that in regards to the new player thing, obviously, like the characters that have been there longer, they have additional skills, so it will make them ever so slightly better at a thing that, you know, but it doesn't. Especially me because there's not a lot of medics. I think there's 3 currently. There was 4, but Bex just changed to a bureaucrat for next event. But it's just a thing of coming and talking to me or one of the others. There was quite a few new people last time that were playing medics or, you know, giving it a go. And I have like a fair few supplies, having played a while. So I'll always, you know, make sure you're stocked up because as a medic, you do need to have those supplies to be able to get people up. And that is your game. So just you can always come and bug me for things if you need them.
Just into Dan's question, is there a way of building yourself into other people's backstories, even though it may be your first play? Yes, absolutely. There's everyone, the bunker's only 500 people. Less now, actually, a good bunch of them died. But we won't talk about that here. That's definitely a find out in play scenario. We definitely didn't do anything wrong and we didn't blow a hole in the side of the bunker. Yeah, definitely. If you've got a particular concept, Dan, I would say just stick a post up on the Humanity Ascendant board. Like if you wanted to play a former criminal, like we're always looking for new bad people. I mean, totally not bad people. We're straight up legit people.
Always looking for other criminals. Is that what you're saying?
People with specialist skill sets.
I can talk now. Stop eating.
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. Like if you've got a particular idea, so for me, the groups of characters, you've got the criminals, who are former convicts who. So you can read in the history of the game, but essentially event 1 was a prison break and a whole bunch of people broke out and then there was a fight against the escaped prisoners. Now, not all of the escaped prisoners, not all of the prisoners chose to escape. A few people decided to stay behind. And essentially the FEF, there isn't a prison anymore because it's got a big hole in it. And the thing they were doing in the prison doesn't work. So the opportunity, the choices now that essentially exist for someone who's convicted of doing a crime in the bunker is join the FEF and win your freedom, essentially, or you're exiled onto the surface, see ya. Fend for yourself. So there's definitely an opportunity for more people to become criminals. The soldiers have formed like an unofficial collective. So although they're not all part of the same unit or whatever, they do work like a group of characters that essentially, Alex, who plays superhero Major Hook, defender of bunker, and
Hook.
and King Hook himself.
King Hook, yeah.
He does a really good job of pairing people up and making sure the new soldiers. Just to Longy's point, the soldiers are very good at going, oh, right, so you're a starting soldier, cool. So we have an enhanced assault rifle you can just use from day 1, so you're already a step up from where you would be. So they're really good at
what? That's a lie. I have only just got a decent weapon.
I think
I'm
that's
in
more.
decent armour, and I've played 4 events. So that is a lie. Take it back.
I think that's just a reflection on Ian more than the same. You didn't need it. You didn't need it. You've got proper official military training.
I can't really argue, can I, with that?
No. So yes, absolutely, Dan. If you want to talk a bit more about that, we can always point you. And there's another group, the Whitechapel group, who
I was going to say, plug your own group, not mine, you baddie.
You can tell you. Well, okay. Do you want my opinion on your group, or do you want to give yours?
I mean, my group are dwindling in numbers now because, you know, things, because COVID. But, yeah.
So yeah, there is another group. They're called the Whitechapel group. They are kind of like emergency evac first responder communists.
No, we're not.
I mean,
No, so the Whitechapel, shut up, are basically a team who, before the end, there was Whitechapel. They were like an anarchist group against what was happening with the government, etc. And then some of them obviously made it to the bunkers and carried on that legacy of bringing down the man, and all they stand for.
so the description inaccurate.
Yeah.
So, John,
Right,
what you're saying is you sold out when you joined the council, yeah?
Money,
innit? Yeah, innit?
the fake money doesn't exist. I felt so robbed when I became a council member, and they were like, "Yeah, there's no money. There's no like secret pile of money you can have." Like, what?
I didn't need to say, you know, screw the man, because I became the man. So.
So yeah, so there are people that obviously there's also people that operate independently, and you can form new groups as well. But groups aren't essential. The game forces you to, like we've said before, like the game will force you to interact with people outside of your group anyway, regardless. The only thing I would suggest, and this is just a personal opinion, just based on the state of the game currently, is that Stricken are very new, and whilst the alliance is relatively stable, there are bad feelings still within the FEF towards the Stricken. So it is an opportunity and a challenge for someone who wants to play one. The opportunity is, if you can strengthen that alliance, make it a true alliance by demonstrating value to the bunker, then you will go in that player's guide as the characters that did that. But there are bad feelings. Several members of the council have discussed using chemical warfare to wipe out all the Stricken. So we would never, like, the player characters would never prevent someone from playing what they want to play. That's not the type of game we want to foster, but it would be a challenging role play experience for new Stricken characters. But you know, it's an awesome opportunity. It really is. But it comes with a unique set of role playing challenges, I would say. Was there any other questions?
I don't think so. I've been keeping an eye.
Just when I sent my character sheet over, or the background info over, I went back in to try and look at the professions, and it seemed to have locked out. Is that right?
Yeah, that happens.
Okay.
So there's two reasons for that. Steve tends to tend to get like a window when you can advance your character post event or make changes to your character sheet, just to give us an idea about what's going on. And also there's a pretty major revision as just been published for the player's guide. So the current version of the character return form, the character sheet, if you like, doesn't reflect that yet, to my knowledge.
No, it doesn't.
So
I think Steve's on with it now, which is why it's locked.
Steve's working on it now. But in all honesty, it doesn't really matter if that's not 100% correct. If you, like 2 weeks before your first event, decide, shit, don't want to play an engineer, I want to play a scientist, or I want to play a soldier, or I want to change my skill, it isn't what I thought it was going to be. You know, the game is still, essentially, we're in like advanced beta test mode. We've run a bunch of events, we've tried a whole bunch of different things, but we're still very much in the, you know, give the players a break. Like, if we've done something from a rules or a game point of view that doesn't work, then we can just change it. We can either find an in-character reason for changing it, or we can have an out-of-character reason for changing it. It doesn't, you know, we're not a massive 1,000-player system where a small rules change impacts tons and tons of people. It isn't that inflexible. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it, Dan. If you want to change stuff, once you've seen the new player's guide, you'll get, I think the plan is Steve will reopen, once the update's done, Steve will reopen the character sheets for people to make changes.
Yeah, I was
I
supposed
can't
to
even
locked it a while
remember my
ago.
character sheet. It's been that long.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Steve's
I
live.
am here. Yeah, I only realised a couple of days ago that it wasn't locked. It was supposed to have been locked ages ago. But as soon as the updates are finished, I will open it properly, and then you can do it. And even if I tell you it's locked later, as Dave says, I'll let you edit it. You just have to ask nicely.
Will it remember our previous people who've attended the events previously? Will it remember what we put down?
Yes, everything is saved. The exception to that is where skills have changed. So I haven't examined what has changed, but if there's a skill that's vanished, then that's obviously going to vanish. And if there's new things, so I have to go through and update the system. But it will all be there. And if there's a problem, get in touch and we'll fix it.
And the only other question that I had as well was how and when do we pay?
Good question.
Whenever you're happy to pay, anything between now and before the event. The PayPal link should be in the booking form, as is the bank transfer details, or if you want any other option, then message me and we can work it out.
Right.
I think the only thing that isn't refundable as we get closer to an event is if you've paid for the food, which I can heartily recommend, by the way, because obviously Steve has to order that in advance. So it just means more for us.
And confirm one of the best bits of food at a LARP event I've ever been to.
Thank you.
Friday night barbecue, and then Sunday lunch mashup. It's the best. So I mean, we've got a couple of long-standing players and crew on here that aren't part of the official team, if you like. Is anyone happy to talk about their experiences, Ian or Ron?
Yeah.
About from a player point of view.
It's quite easy to talk about. I started as years and years ago. Longy's here. Longy's next to me here, and he told me about what he had planned, and I thought, you know what, it's a good idea because I've worked with Saul's laser gear in Army many moons ago, so I know exactly what Saul's laser tag gear is. Russians have obviously nicked the idea and developed their own stuff, and Longy's had the plan for this LARP thing for years, and I'm still ashamed that I missed the first couple of events. I should have been there, and I wasn't. Then I crewed and realised what a great setup it was. It was ace, because it wasn't paintball where you got covered in greasy paint. It wasn't airsoft where you went home in cuts and bruises from being hit. And it was laser tag. It was great. From seeing it from a crew side point of view, I realised then, I thought, oh my God, I really need to get into this. And then I think Steve Wainwright convinced me to play once because they were so short on players. And I still don't get to this day how our numbers are so low with the effort that's put into this game. I don't get it. But you know what? I actually don't care because I love it. So whether there's 50 people there, whether there's 30 people there, whether there's 150 people there, it's still going to be good. It's still going to be really enjoyable. The kit side of things is piss easy, honestly. It's get yourself some cargo pants, get yourself an hoodie, rip it up, get yourself some spray, some grey spray paint or some sand spray paint, stick it outside, spray it, kit done. Amazing. Go onto eBay, buy crap eBay Chinese armor. All right, there might be a bit of a delay because of COVID and everything, and you might get some disease or something coming from China. But
don't buy the Batman armor.
Yeah. Do you know you can buy? Oh God, do you know what? I tell you what I've done as a soldier over the couple of times I've played. I've started adding things to my gear. I find things around me. I go into my son's bedroom and see a key ring and I think, that looks interesting. I'm having that. And I stick it on my gear. I found bits of army gear in loft or in shed or something, I think. And I wrap it in green tape and stick it to my stuff. And I'm just walking around covered in
It's just-
junk. Honestly, it's like, and that's what it is. It's just you're in the post-apocalypse. I remember a great thing that a really famous actor called, I forgot his name now, from Book of Eli, and he said people kill each other now for that crap, and they do, and that's what you got to remember. Like things you find around, a bottle opener, it's just put some crap on it and stick it on your gear, tie some string to it, and it's post-apocalypse, and I've never had so much fun. I left LARPing for airsoft. I left LARPing for airsoft, and I'm now left airsoft for Longy. So, and I love it, and I'm not looking back either. I absolutely love it. It's one of the best LARPs I've ever been to. So I just hope I hope more people see what I can see. You know what I mean? So,
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So a different view then, because Ron, you didn't crew first, did you? You just dived straight in as a player character. What was your event like? What was the first night of your first event like?
So it's sorry, let me get my words around this. This is my second sci-fi LARP that I've done. So I had high expectations based on my previous experience. And I knew Longy from previous games, so I know it would be that high level of impact because he puts tons of effort into whatever he's doing. So I knew a fair few people vaguely from previous LARPs, so it was very welcoming. I play heavy infantry. All the soldiers get stuck in and help everyone out, as it's previously said. There's no, this is just for us, this is our toy, and I'm not going to share it with anyone. It's very open to people. It was a bit wet and soggy first event, but lessons were learned from that. Hopefully won't have outdoors activities in the rain that lasts for hours and get people cold, wet and miserable. But that can happen with any event, to be honest, and it's hopefully a one-off. The kit was very easy. I think I got a £14 denim ripped up hoodie combination from Primark even, for my first event, and I had some military stuff from just getting stuff from workmates because they were ex-forces, but 20 quid worth of kit on top, and some dark jeans, which I regret because it was cold, wet and didn't dry out. But kit is very easy to get into. People, good game, plenty of brown pants moments throughout. The Room of Doom of finding the witch.
Oh gee, don't.
Pulling back a shower curtain to reveal that was it, and it being pitch black at the same time. That was definitely brown trouser moments all around. I have to admit, I've just been talking to one of my friends from the previous sci-fi LARP. Unfortunately, she hasn't been able to attend this. Thankfully, we're recording it for her, and just singing its praises to people because it is friendly, easy to get into, lightweight combat, which is nice. It's the maximum I have to count to is 3 for any type of damage, and then 300 to see if Jen comes save my backside.
Always.
Always. And it's just so simple and so lightweight. The kit, the laser tag system just makes everything so much easier, and the QR codes were a stroke of genius. To let multiple people do their own thing in the exact same encounter without having a ref running around and supervising everyone or giving people updates.
Cool. Thank you. So I know we're starting to lose people. We've gone
We've
past
got another question.
Oh.
From
Okay. Combat supplies is armor and guns.
Yeah, they are headed in the player guide. So it is like your combat supplies, medic supplies, scientist supplies, engineer supplies. That's what it relates to. So
anything in that table you can buy, but mostly guns and armor, I think, in that one, right? Maybe the military pad, I suppose.
Yeah.
And radio.
Radio, if you can buy them, yeah.
You can bring your own though, can't you?
Yeah.
You need the skill.
Oh yeah. But I mean, what I mean is you don't have to necessarily rent them off Longy. You can bring your own as long as you've got the skill.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I've done. So I've got 2 good quality radios that I just bring with me for if anyone's got them in character and don't actually have them.
Yeah.
Because it's not the cheapest radios, but it's not also the most expensive. They're 30 quid a pop.
Yeah.
And they'll get on the right frequency as long as people tell you what the actual frequency is instead of just giving random numbers, not all of the info.
Yeah.
Sounds like the voice of it.
That's how it's done in real life. Random.
So, last bit then for the people that are still here that are new players. If you are still on the fence about attending, if you don't mind sharing, then what else would you want to know, or what would put your mind at ease to encourage you to attend the first event?
You had me at hello.
First response. Steve, what are you thinking? 'Cause I know you've done quite a lot of different sci-fi LARPs in the past, right?
So I've done loads, anything from 40k and onwards. So the big change for me is just the fact that it's lasers. You know, not relying on coals or anything like that. Because as soon as you end up in a coal system, it just gets messy really, really quick. And you've got a system which everything in that's taken out of it. If you're shot, your signal goes off. That's it. There's no running around, because we've all seen plenty of folks do it. Yeah, I shot you, and however many times. Oh no, I didn't hear you. So that's taken out of it, and that's the big bit for me. That's what sparked my interest first time round when Longy suggested it, and I've just been trying to find the time to come. That's what it's always been. It's just, can I get there? Can I get there? Can I get there? And it's not far. It's only up the road from me.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, easy trip.
I was going to say about the headbands, you can't miss when you've been shot either. You know.
Yeah.
You definitely know.
Yeah.
Your whole head vibrates.
Yeah.
And the other, so for those, the bit that I didn't kind of cover off is that the ranges are incredibly realistic. So for example, with the sniper type weapon, there isn't a place on the site that you can see from another place on the site that you can't shoot. So if you can see it on our site, you can shoot it. Some of the guns obviously are less effective, so pistols and SMGs have a shorter range, but the sniper rifles, DMRs and assault rifles, pretty much, if you can see someone, you can shoot at them.
I was going to say that when we did the shooting test thing, you're absolutely bang on with the sniper rifle, but the actual further down you go down the scale of the weaponry, obviously the ranges start to decrease or start to spread out. So with a sniper rifle, you're talking 500 meters a hit, and then obviously the DMR is about 400 meters, and then the assault rifles are 300 meters. The SMG is about 20 foot, pistols 10 foot, melee point blank. so they do. So it is actually from a guy who's been in the army for 23 years. The ranges are actually very realistic, because I use the assault rifle, and I ended up making the assault rifle look like a bit longer, because I like the assault rifle. But I learned from the last event that the assault rifle range wasn't good enough for my character. So that's why I've put now down a DMR on my character thing, because the actual DMR has got a bit further range. I can't remember the character I was with. He was all in black, really nice guy.
Hawk.
Not Hook.
Hawk. Not
Hawk, that's it. Hawk.
Yeah,
so I was shooting targets, and Hawk had a proper DMR, and I had the assault rifle, and he's hitting every time, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I'm actually a real sniper, and I'm shooting, and I'm missing, and he's hitting, and I'm thinking, why? And it's because the rifles are actually, realistically, sniper rifle will hit every time, DMR, assault rifle, and it does go down the scale. So obviously I've had to bite the bullet now and get a DMR, which I don't like, but for the range I'm going to have to take it on, or I'm going to have to take a sniper rifle, which I'm not really keen on doing.
Can I have a railgun?
The light up is too. If I could tape all the lights up, put loads of cam around it, then yeah, I'll take a railgun anytime.
Yeah,
so Ian, what would the advantage be of taking an assault rifle instead of the DMR then? Just
burst fire.
Yeah. When you get the gear in your hand, I think you can speak to the guys setting them up, so you can have it a single shot or burst fire. So with an assault rifle, so if you're running around wood and you're quite not close up, but you've got a fair distance, let's say within 150 meters to 100 meters, an assault rifle is actually very, very good. I actually hid in a bush on one of the events. I was monstering, and I had a pistol, and I was shooting people in the back, the players, for ages, and it was ace, and I ran out of ammunition. I was so pissed off because I was getting right next, and as long as you've got a sort of, if you can, if you know roughly how to shoot a weapon, you're going to be all right. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of people around the site to show you how to shoot. I mean, most of us boys have all been running around garden at some point, pretending that we were in army or something. But some of the girls maybe not. So if they want a bit of pointers towards how to shoot and stuff, that's great. I'm happy. I'm sure there's guys here that are also experienced laser taggers. So.
You need to show me how to use that big gun I want.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going to start a character anyway, I think you would. If you're going to be a soldier, you'd probably start with an assault rifle anyway, just to get the feel of it. Or you could just say.
I was thinking either SMG or assault rifle. So yeah.
What character? So what character are you thinking about playing, Dan?
I was thinking just going to do a straight up assault guy to start off with.
Okay. So for me, what I would recommend, until you can get to assault class, is I would recommend the assault rifle. It's just the SMG limits you because it's designed to be it's designed to be used by scrubs to start with. You can't put sights and stuff on an SMG to start with.
Spray.
Yeah, there's short range, crazy rate of fire. You run out of ammo like mental. But for a similar-ish size, I would definitely go with an assault rifle as a starting soldier. You can't go wrong with it. You've got plenty of options, and then later on, when you become assault class, you can switch to SMG. It's not like once you pick a gun, you start with that, and that's it, you forever. You can swap and change around as much as you want. I would definitely, for a soldier, I would recommend. Long as he's right. Like none of the players have done it yet, but using the thing we kind of didn't cover it from the rules point of view was you can't obstruct your headband because that's the place you get shot. Unless you are an assault class soldier with an assault shield, then you feel free to put that shield in front of your headband because that's what you do. But you can only, to start with, if you're using the assault shield in one hand, you can only use a pistol in your offhand or a melee weapon if you're trained. Melee. But assault class soldiers get a skill that lets them shoot SMGs and use assault shields. And the assault shields have a hole in the middle, which you can look through, but still have your headband covered at the top. So they are mean as balls. Like, they have caused the players so many problems. Like one time they encountered some Bunker Fortitude guys who were proper trained military professionals. They had a medic with an assault shield who was just running around, not being able to get shot, healing all the soldiers up when they were taken down. That firefight went on for about 20 minutes. It was the most insane firefight we've had for the whole game. It was completely bananas. It was so much fun. Mehmet was stomping around in his suit of hydraulic power armor, hosing people down with an LMG.
I think as the medic there on that monster party, I actually ran out of charges in my box. So that was 20 charges just getting the big guy in power armor back up, and I was like, "Well, it's empty. It's empty. Run."
We only withdrew when we ran out of ammo.
Yeah, we all literally ran out because we had a medic box but no ammo box. Ran out of bullets.
Sounds fun.
So I think we had Pete. Is it Pete or Peter? I don't know. I've seen it spelled both. And Kimmy. So you guys are pretty much set on your character classes then. Yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fun. Like, there's a massive opportunity in the medic space currently, for sure, for to make yourself incredibly desirable on missions and to have as an ally within the FEF. And soldiers you can't go wrong with soldiers. You can't do anything without them because you just get shot. Cool.
I think that's it, isn't it? By the looks of it.
I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope people's enjoyed that. I hope it's been useful. It's been nice to catch up with everybody again as well, to be fair, and have a good chat with some people I've not seen for a while.
Yeah.
Definitely maybe try and do another one before the September event.
There'll be another couple, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I know of a few people who couldn't make tonight, so it'd be good to have another one for them.
We'll have a talk about it, and I'll have a talk to Nick and that from UK LTA, who very graciously borrowed us the Zoom account. So thank you very much for that. Firefight guys.
Hiya. Yeah. What I was going to say was, with our paid Zoom account, it's very much a case of it sits there doing nothing most of the time, and we're looking, well, certainly I am, and I know a lot of other people from our group are looking very positively at options for us to come to your events and hopefully you to come to our events, because I think it would help both groups to see different things, and it gives you more games to go to that are very similar, because a lot of what you've said today about your systems for doing things, ours are very similar. I mean, they're not technically the same, but they work much the same. So we will undoubtedly just offer you up another slot on the Zoom if you want, whatever.
Yeah. And there's already some of us are coming to Firefight events this year and next year.
Yeah, are you doing the September one?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure who's booked for that, because I'm not actually on the committee. I'm just very active, so I don't see half the stuff.
We're running a Humanity Ascendant mission, a one-off mission.
Oh yeah, of course you are. Yeah, sorry, I forgot that.
Anybody that makes a character and enjoys it will be able to bring that character across with a bit of XP, etc., to play in the full game if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna crew your event, because in fact I very often crew LARPs. It's kind of my thing I do. But I'm hoping we'll get a few bodies from our lot go across to you, because we do have the thing where we're both quite small systems. So if you get a weekend that's bad for clashes, or a few people who are, oh no, I can't get it because the kids, you can end up with quite a poor turnout. Whereas if you kind of expand our overlap our player bases, that might fix a lot of that problem.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely down for the September event, and then I think I've already said, because conveniently the one that James has decided to organise, the games-based event, that's probably about 40 minutes from my house. So
Nice.
yes, near Louth.
Oh, that's not far, is it?
No.
Show us that.
We did that. I suppose it was 3 years ago now, almost, maybe. We did that a while back, that same thing. It's a tiny site. It's very CQB style play of games, but we had a good fun with it last time. And he's doing some tech where it's going to be a bit like a video game, in that there will be respawn points. So you get shot, all your hits go down, you do that, you walk over to where the respawn point is, and it resets all your hits, and off you go again, and all that kind of stuff.
I like that
That's
idea.
what his GPS chips are for.
No. That's for a prop puzzle. But no, so he's
right.
making respawn points, and yeah, we can have a bit of fun with that. That will be silly.
That's
One of the games he did last year was a quiz with shooting. It's the only way I can describe it.
Nice.
And that was very difficult. You had to go and find effectively quiz questions and solve them under fire.
That sounds
Yeah.
like your average engineering mission. At
Yeah, because it's not a LARP event. It is a tactical silly games event, but it was very good fun last time.
Like that.
Cool.
Just to answer Kimmy as well, you can do research on monsters. We did a research which Dave showed, the Project Steelfather research stuff, and out of that we've learned a bit more information about the hive, but also there's a prop that I made which will be at event 7.
Is it in the shed then? I'm sad you don't have it there. Are you going to wait? Are you going to keep it secret?
And keep it as a secret, yeah.
All right, okay. I won't talk about it then.
Is that the one you made at ours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It is.
Yeah, we get a lot of fun prop making opportunities with this system as well. With the setting and the post APOC and mashing in a few different sort of genres and that. It gives the GMs a lot of flexibility. It all makes sense. It's that there's a good sort of back arching story to it all, and like the players, like Dave said, the players and the sort of rest of the GM team is just starting to get the head around sort of what's really going on, why the bombs dropped, and what's sort of what's turning the pages, or who's turning the pages, etc. But it's all part of the fun.
It's just commies. That's what it is.
Right, are we going to call it there then, chaps? Because I've got chaps and chapesses, because I've got things I need to be getting on with.
It's supposed to be raiding at 7. It's now like 10 to 8.
It's supposed to be,
that's we've overrun by 47 minutes. That's some going that.
Not unusual though, is it?
No, not at all.
So
I
thank you.
I booked it for 2 hours because I knew it'd be 2 hours.
Yeah, so thanks for people that's come along, and as we get this posted up as well. I hope that's been informative for people. We will look to run another session in a few weeks or a month or something like that. We'll have a chat about it with the team, see what people, see what other prospective players want to do as well. Whether we do something more or less the same, or whether we sort of build up on the back of what we've talked about tonight or whatever. We'll have a chat about that.
Class-based ones.
Yeah, some class-based ones. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a really good idea. And yeah, any questions at all, stick it on the Facebook page. That's primarily where it's there for people to get themselves sorted out, the characters, ask questions about the game. Anything at all can go on that Facebook page as long as it's legal. So yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.